Hello, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. I feel like it's been a pretty nice day. I'm ready for some of this fall weather to come and stay cool, though. It's been rather hot.
I don't know. Me too.
Yeah. Um, well, I'm looking over some of your paperwork, and you didn't write about how you like the weather. However, I'm looking over some of the things that brought you in here today, and I kind of just want to take the time to kind of get to know you a little bit, kind of go through some of the things that you wrote down. But also let you know that in this session that like I have a duty to report if you're going to hurt yourself or anybody else. This is a safe space for you, though. I would love for you to be able to share with me some of the things that you would like to get out of this process. And yeah, so that's just some of the housekeeping stuff. I have some of your disclosures signed already. Does everything sound look good for you? Okay. Um, I am currently looking at what does your life look like right now? Who you're living with, what's going on at home?
Right now, so I just recently got released from prison in June. So right now it's just me. I'm staying in a federal halfway house and I'm currently on federal um supervision.
Okay, how long do you have to be on that supervision for?
Until 2017.
Okay, how are you liking where you said you're in transitional, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
How are you liking it there so far?
It's not bad. I mean, I was in prison for 20 years, so it's been a rough kind of transition to normal life outside of the walls.
I'd say so, and there's always people around, it seems like still, but it's got to be a little bit better or different, should I say. I know that that acclimation can be hard, right?
Okay, I definitely enjoy the time that I get to myself now, which I never got when I was inside, but um, I am definitely ready to take that next step into my life and get a place of my own and start rebuilding something.
Yeah. Um, that sounds like it could be a lot of opportunity for you to create what you want your life to be now. Um, that can be exciting. So we'll review that in just a little bit. I do want to go over some of the key points here. Kind of, do you want to briefly tell me like how you've been feeling, what brings you in to feel like you want to talk to somebody? That way we can kind of gauge where you're at and kind of what you need.
Yeah, of course. So, as I said, recently, just a couple months ago, I got released from prison, um, and just very hyper vigilant, and very anxious. I'm constantly worried about provoking or going back or, um, somebody out to get me or trying to set me up because that's how I got sentenced to my time in the first place was I was set up. And so there's a lot of, who can I trust and who is, um, you know, legitimate and authentic and who is being fake and using.
Yeah. Now, you said you did 20 years, right? In an institution?
Yep.
And so are you seeing some of it sounds like what you're saying is some of the things that you were dealing with prior before you even went in kind of existed there and they're replaying again now. Is that right? Some of those core, um, a little bit of anxiety, like paranoia about things around you, just, and I know you mentioned hypervigilance. Um, do you want to tell me a little bit if you can break that down, what that feels like?
Just constantly observing my surroundings for threats, constantly assessing for my safety, for exits, for a plan if something was to go wrong in a situation. What if scenarios that haven't happened, but got a plan for them if they do, you know.
Yeah. Would you say that there has been a time period where they where like these symptoms were a little bit worse, or were they bad the first day you got out and they've continued to progress, or does it stay about even?
I think it's definitely progressed some since I've been out. I don't know how much you know about my history, but my name is pretty familiar in the world of criminal undertakings because of my time trafficking narcotics and um, how much I got my name out there in that um, realm. And so there's definitely been a lot of people that have reached out or that have tried to reconnect that I'm like, what's your motive? You know?
Yeah, and I can imagine with, by the way, I didn't see any headlines with your names in them. However, I do just try to go off face value whenever I meet my clients. I would like to get to know you for who you want me to know and not for some way that you've been labeled. If you mentioned that you kind of had, is it infamous? Is that what it is whenever you get notorious for, kind of like getting in trouble? Is that right?
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I didn't read any headlines for you. However, I am happy to get to know who you want me to see and hear. Um, okay, so I got a little bit of that summed down, and we'll probably revisit that after we kind of go through a couple questions, if that's okay. I'm kind of going to go through a checklist of some feelings, emotions, kind of just things that you may be going through. And if you just want to answer them for me for none, mild, moderate, severe. Or if you need to say a little, a lot, sometimes whatever is easiest for you, I'm just gonna go down this list and just mark some stuff down. Is that cool?
Sure.
Okay. Um, okay, so have you had any depressed moods, let's say within the last 3 months?
Mild,
Self-esteem challenges,
mild,
eating appetite disturbance,
none,
sleep disturbance.
moderate,
What about fatigue, low energy,
none,
irritability,
mild,
anxious, nervous?
severe,
Okay. What about excessive worry?
severe,
Have you found yourself crying more than usual?
no,
None. Mood swings?
mild.
What about an elevated mood, like a day that you just felt like good?
Well, I mean, I would say I have at least 1 to 2 of those every week, but that's also because I'm still experiencing things that I hadn't got to do in 20 years.
Like some gratitude, possibly?
Right, a cheeseburger here,
You want to call
there.
that mild?
Sure, cool.
I bet cheeseburgers were good. What about panic attacks?
No,
And then have you found yourself overreacting very often?
no, I would say more under.
Okay. All right, we're just gonna go down the list. What about difficulty paying attention?
Mild,
Okay. Hyperactivity,
moderate,
impulsivity,
mild,
procrastination.
mild,
What about difficulty following directions?
Mild,
Any angry outbursts?
mild,
Aggressive behaviors?
none,
What about any defiant behaviors?
mild,
Have you found yourself lying more than usual?
no,
Do you feel that you've been treated unfairly?
sometimes. I can definitely throw a pity party.
Have you had any bad grades or learning challenges?
Yes.
Yes.
Technology has came a long way since the last time I was on the streets, and so navigating cell phones and emails and text messages and this Twitter and other social media sites, it's
Excuse me. Yeah, I can say that whenever you finally figure out your login and password to something, you'll need to write it down 5 times. So I can definitely see how that could be very overwhelming. We're gonna recap back on some of these that you mentioned a higher score on at the end. That way we can touch base on them. I don't want you to think that I was just like, oh, I'm sorry you feel that way. Let's move on. Okay, have you had any challenges with your friends?
no, I don't really know. I wouldn't say I have any friends.
Okay. What about blackout spells?
No,
Body aches?
occasional.
Significant weight loss or gain?
No,
Sexual orientation?
no.
No, I think I'm asking you. What is your orientation?
Oh, straight.
And how do you identify your gender?
I'm a male.
Right,
So
so
that's a new too. Like that's
I
what.
was gonna say, you kinda are coming back to society when we're in the middle of a lot of different recognizations, and so we can discuss some of those things too, because times do change. Do you have any family conflict currently?
Just trying to rebuild a relationship with my daughter.
Okay. Do you feel like you've been the victim of emotional trauma?
Definitely
Okay.
with my ex-wife.
What about physical trauma?
I mean, there's definitely bits and pieces of my story throughout my time distributing and smuggling narcotics that I was uh nabbed and beat up or in an altercation. So yeah, I would say that that's some things we'll definitely eventually get into.
Yeah, I can imagine you have some stories. Um, have you been a victim of any sexual trauma?
No.
Okay. What about how's your grief or loss challenges? I know that you mentioned having some disgruntled relationships. Does that affect you?
Um eh, yes, but I don't really talk about it a lot.
Okay.
I'm definitely very um shameful and guilty for not being in my daughter's life as long for all of her childhood, and so there's a lot of regret there. And that hurts, to think about all of the things that I missed out on, but I try to not go in that neighborhood in my head.
Okay, that's kind of an area that we'll kind of address slowly whenever you're at a good spot and you're ready to talk about it. Okay, do you have any current alcohol abuse?
No,
All right, what about drug abuse?
no, not current.
Do you have a past with that?
Oh, yes.
Um, do you want to disclose what your drug of choice was?
I mean, a lot of times it really depended on what I was selling, but mostly weed or cocaine.
Okay,
I wasn't really a drinker.
okay. Um, No, we'll talk about the lifestyle association in a little while, because I did notice that you mentioned that was part of your problem. Do you have any disturbing thoughts currently?
No,
Paranoia?
no.
All right, we are almost through with this section. Thank you for that small break. We're gonna finish on with these last few questions and then move on, okay? Are you having any delusions,
No,
hallucinations, memory challenges? No.
I definitely had some spells while I was incarcerated, but they've got me on medication now, and so
Okay.
I've been doing a lot better with that.
Yeah. What medications are you on right now?
You would ask. I just saw my provider yesterday, and we changed a lot of things,
Mhm.
and so if I could just bring something next time.
Yeah, that's completely fine. And then also there may be a space in your portal. Either way, we'll get the information. I'll have it locked down and then we'll just catch that back up whenever I see you next time. And now these medications are for your mental health, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and then um who is that prescriber?
Um, Dr. Spielberg.
Okay. And is that your psychiatrist, family care? Okay. Thank you. And then do you have any financial hardships right now as you're transitioning back?
Um, I mean, it's been hard to find a job. Uh, and then the thoughts of like I know how to make a lot of money really fast creep in, and so there's definitely a struggle with that. But my basic needs are met.
Okay. All right, yeah, I was kind of thinking along the lines whenever I see some people transitioning, that kind of is a barrier. And we can definitely talk about some of those things to walk you through that. Do you have any do you have any wishes to harm others?
No,
Okay. And do you want to hurt or kill yourself?
no.
No. Okay. Do you have any current health concerns that need to be noted?
I've definitely had some liver issues, and I need to get established with a provider.
Okay. I'm sorry you've had some concerns there. Health scares can sometimes be a little overwhelming. And I have your medication documented down. Now I'm going to look at some of your previous mental health services. Have you ever been to anybody else for therapy?
I have not.
Okay. And this is kind of your first place after your institution, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I have a lot of your current stuff. Tell me a little bit about how you grew up and where you're from.
So I grew up in Jersey. Um, Father was a construction worker. Mom was a stay-at-home mom. Kind of middle class family. I was an only child, so I don't really feel like I was neglected or mistreated or didn't get attention from my parents. I was just really good at what I did.
Okay, so we do have your mom and dad. You're an only child, and where did you say that you grew up at? Which area?
In New Jersey.
Okay. Do you remember as a child, were you sick as a child? Was your developmental on track? Do you ever feel like you remember just not being up to pace with other kids?
No.
You were good.
Mhm.
Okay, so we have you in your time limits. About how old is your mom and dad now?
My father would be in his 90s, I believe. And my mother would be in her late 80s, but they're both deceased.
Okay, and I am sorry about that. We do see that here of the time difference. And their causes of death, were they natural, kind of what happened there?
Yeah, just natural old age.
Okay. Do you have any religious beliefs that I should be aware of whenever we're kind of going through your treatment?
Um, I'm still searching. I
Okay.
don't necessarily feel like I'm any particular denomination, but I do feel like that there's something out there.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll put that open to our own interpretation. Now, I know that you mentioned that you kind of had a lifestyle while you were in, whenever you were using. So, would you say that you have an educational or an employment background previous to your prison sentence?
Um, no, my highest level of education is high school diploma, and I have never had a 9 to 5 job ever.
Okay. Whenever you were in school, did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that you said that you've kind of had some barriers of finding a current job. Are you currently employed or are you just looking?
Currently I am looking, but I haven't found anything steady. I've definitely gotten some, under the table stuff from the halfway house. But they're trying to help me lock something long term in.
Okay. And on this, it's going to ask us about your social history. I know that you said you don't have a lot of friends or close relationships right now. Would you say that's accurate?
Correct.
Do you make friends easily?
Um, I mean, I can definitely, I'm easy to talk to and will strike up a conversation with just about anybody, but I am very slow to trust, so I don't know that I would say I make friends.
Yeah. You're not giving free hugs on Fridays?
Absolutely not.
No. Okay. Um, do you want more friends? Would you like to have more of a social life?
Yes, and I'm hoping to get more involved in like a 12-step recovery fellowship
Okay.
to establish some healthier relationships with people.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a good place for you to find some like-minded people, and maybe they can share some experience with you if you do decide to go that route. Do you have any current hobbies or anything that you're working on, or are you just kind of acclimating back to life?
Yeah, just kind of acclimating back to life and really like I don't think I ever really had any hobbies, so I'm kind of just getting to know myself and what I like and what I want to do and what I want to invest my time and my money and energy into.
Okay. Well, I'm excited to see what this journey looks like for you. And we don't have any, I know that you mentioned an estranged relationship with your daughter. Did you ever have a like CPS case or anything open with her?
Yes. So she was, her mother was granted full custody, when I was sentenced to prison in 1994. And I have, aside from a letter here or there, while I was in prison, we didn't have much contact.
Okay. And so I know that you mentioned that's kind of important for you to establish yourself back into her life, or even just look like, maybe explore what that looks like. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Um, I feel like I have gotten to know you a little bit today, and I'm really interested to see how we can explore some of those severe symptoms that you're kind of going through. I'm eager to look at some of your goals and figure out kind of what we want to do in this therapeutic process. Does all of that sound okay for you to end today? Are you in a good space for us to continue next week?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I really appreciate your time, and I hope you give yourself some grace as you're adjusting to some very big changes. And our office will be here if you need anything. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
It was nice to meet you.
Thank you.